Welcome to today's webinar on TickTick, brought to you by the Academic Resource Center at Georgetown University. If you have any questions throughout, feel free to add them to the chat. TickTick is a website that you may be familiar with, may be brand new to you, but it's going to look familiar. It's similar to Notion. It has an interface similar to Slack. So today's session is going to be extremely interactive. We're going to go through the different features and show you how you can use this particular organizational tool to keep track of your assignments throughout the semester. How you access TickTick. The website's pretty straightforward, ticktick.com. That's all you go to. And when you join, you have the option to join either a free or a premium account. For today's purposes, everything we're looking at is free, so you should be able to set up this account with your Georgetown email address. You do not need to sign up or pay for any of the features that we're going to go over. So as I mentioned, TickTick is an organizational tool where you can enter in to-dos, tasks, but I find it particularly helpful for academic resources and assignments because of a lot of the formatting and smart capabilities. So we're going to jump right into how can you add your classes to these and how can you use them to make keeping track of different assignments easier. Right now, I am on our inbox page, which is one of our list options. If you see over on the left-hand side, I am on a blue check mark tab that is the task tab. And what we have here, first our inbox, our tasks today, then the next 7 days. I'm going to jump down to our lists to get us started. And we're going to start by looking at our list for Problem of God to show you what it is you can create on here. So you can enter in different assignments for your class, either your regular homework assignments, your more intense papers and deadlines, and you can assign a date to them. You can also add information within the description that explains what you need to do for that assignment. This can be a great resource if you have professors who have digital resources like a digital syllabus or a digital interface on Canvas, but maybe all of your professors have a system that's a little bit different. Using TickTick, you can copy paste and make sure that you have all of your information that you need located here in your main TickTick. So how do we make a list? What we do, and what I like about this website is it is very straightforward, pretty intuitive. Over on the left-hand menu side under lists, if we click add list, we can make one for whichever class we want to do. We are going to add for Spanish. We can choose a color. We'll do red. There are two options for view on the free program. We're working with list view first, but we'll go over Kanban view later. And we are doing a task list, but there are other options. So for now, we're just doing Spanish, add list. So it appears right here next to it. If I do want to edit this, I can just kind of click on the name, edit it as needed, and then we also have a toggle item here that can make the menu go away. So what's great is with the tasks is there's a lot of different ways to add elements. You can add each assignment one by one. So let's say I wanted to add homework. We'll just say homework 1. And if this is due on the 20th, I can click the calendar and click the date here and then press enter. So again, what I find helpful about this compared to a notebook Notes app on your phone or a regular notebook is that it has the ability to assign a deadline and a due date, and then it will sort those for you. In fact, we can even save ourselves the step of going through that calendar and just put the date. So if on the 24th I have a worksheet due, I just put the date 1-24 worksheet and then press enter, it calculates the date for me. I can also copy and paste a few things from another website. Well, it won't work because we already have it here, but if you have a list somewhere else and you copy paste a few different tasks, it may acknowledge if you paste them all here that it's different tasks and ask, do you want to batch these together and make them one task, or do you want to make them separate tasks? So for now, we're just going to enter one by one. We have 2 more to add. We'll say quiz 1, 7, and then we'll say paper -31. So now we have our assignments. What's also helpful is that we can sort these items on the side. We can either sort by date is what I typically like to do. So now we can see here what's due Monday and then what's going on in sequential order. We also have the ability to group by date. So that will look like this: what's due in the next 7 days and what is later. Some of the other elements here in terms of sort, we've title. We also have tag and priority, which those are elements that we can update when we go into the specific assignment. So when I click on each of these items, you may see over here on the right-hand side, we have our heading. This is actually an element that we can update with each of these tasks in order to provide more information. So let's start with homework 1. We can add whatever text we want to here. If we have a description, we can just write located on Canvas website. And then we have the ability to format this the way we might regular text. So down at the bottom, we have text formats. I like this particular highlight. We wanted to say due at noon. We can link, we can upload an attachment, we can save as template, which is nice. I also like that we can add a bullet point if we want to add different elements. We could say vocab list and grammar. And then we can also add check marks if we have particular items that we want to make sure we get done. So we'll say, we just had question 1, question 2. And then with these, if you check them off, it will cross them off. So great that you can add as much or little as you want. I mentioned before, one of my favorite features of this as a website is the smart lists and the way that it can process different information, including dates. One element that can be really helpful with this, in addition to just being able to kind of press up here on the side and add different items. Let's say we want this to be due each week. We can also make deadlines repeat. So if this is here on the deadline, we can put a certain time if we want. Let's say it's due at 12 o'clock. We can add that. What we do, we get that by clicking on the deadline right next to it. We can set a reminder, but we can also click this item that says repeat. And if you have a weekly assignment, you can have this automatically update so that you know it's due every Friday. And then that's indicated by this little rotating item. So now it will automatically populate for each Friday, which makes things a lot easier in terms of avoiding having to enter in information. So again, once you have entered in all of this information, you can look at it not only by the individual entry, but there are a few smart lists that will automatically populate. We can add information by making tags. A tag, it's super easy to create. All you have to do is just press hashtag or the pound sign or the number sign, and then you can either select one of the tags that already exists. For this, I'm going to say study, because those are the items that are tests that I need to work on. And then if you want to create a new one, you just press that same pound key, and then you can type the term and create a new tag. So I'm going to create one that is Spanish. And I just made this Spanish tag, and so it's appeared over on the left-hand side under tags with all of these other items. And if I click on study, the Spanish quiz has also appeared here when it didn't even exist a minute before. So these tags, they will create lists based off of all of the tags that you have put in individual. So looking through my different lists, I have, again, we've been looking at Spanish, which group, no, I actually like it grouped by date. I think that makes sense. If I want to edit the name, I can do that over here on the left-hand side. Really, all I want to do is just add an emoji. So we'll add a little pen and paper. So Spanish, we have next 7 days, homework, worksheet, quiz, paper. Econ is another class I've already put in here. We have items due today, Tuesday, and then throughout. And then problem of God, I have more items, including several major assignments due the first week of February. And again, I only entered in these items here. We have tags that have grouped themselves. Spanish, which we just made. I have assignments. That's for items like a problem set. I would probably do that also for a worksheet. Because that's something that I need to turn in, but isn't a test or a paper. So again, I'll just put assignment. And now I have 2 assignments. Studying are the items that are tests and quizzes, and writing are papers or paper elements. And all of these look a little different because they're sorted a little different, group by list. If I want to group by date, that kind of breaks it down in terms of what's due now and what's due later. And then what's also lovely is that it automatically will create, it automatically populates at the top today. What do I do today? I have to prepare econ discussion questions, read chapter 3, and I have a discussion post to do. And it will tell me the class with the icon and the color I assigned. And this discussion post is a reoccurring. So after I do it, it will occur again later. But when I'm finished, I can kind of click it as completed. So then it appears on my Problem of God tab as completed. Now, because this is a recurring assignment, now that I've completed it, it's populated for the next deadline that I have it due, January 23rd. If I uncomplete it, the next one is still there now because I've already indicated it, but that's really helpful with planning. This will also show me what's due in the next 7 days. based on day. So here's what's due Thursday, what's due Friday, what's due Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and completed. And again, these auto-populate once you put in those dates. So another tab that I created is major assignments. Which major assignments, this is something I personally like to do to stay organized. This is anything that is worth more that I need to turn in. So we have problem set, quizzes, even a discussion post, but basically something more important grade-wise than a reading, and something that takes more time than a reading in terms of planning over a series of weeks, whereas a reading's maybe meant to be done over a few days. So I created this tag so these items could stand out, so I could put them in the other format. I mentioned before that we have list format, and there's another format called the Kanban table. And that's what I've made this one, major assignments. I can make a new one by, again, just like list, pressing that plus sign next to it. Let's say I want to call this, we'll call this in progress. Major assignments. Instead of this list view, I do this other piece, which is called the Kanban view, and we'll make this nice blue and then add, and it will create something that looks like this. It has different sections, which instead of appearing on top of each other will appear next to each other. So the task list, you're making rows, this you're making columns. So if I want to create a new section, I just press new section. I can also label these at the top, and the traditional format for a Kanban board, it's actually a project management tool, and how it typically looks is not started, in progress, and then the final one would be completed. I'm going to put this as revision. And I might even change not started to planning. How do I want this to appear? So for major assignments, though, I kind of have put this in a different format. I've done it kind of what I would work on each weekend. So 16th today through next Wednesday, that's a week. But what do I want to work on this week / this weekend, next week, next weekend, and then the following? What I am going to do in order to create this list is start with the major assignments tab, and I'm going to look at, right now, they're grouped by list. I want to group by date. So now it's grouped what's due in the next 7 days. One element we haven't really talked about with this is how you can rearrange things just by dragging them around and holding them, and you see how it's very easy to kind of make something move somewhere else. In terms of moving from one tag to another list, we also can drag items from one place to another. So let's say I want to take a look at this test, which is from Econ, and I just want to take it from my major assignments tab and move it up to this major assignments Kanban. Then it will have automatically dragged it. So this is a great way for me to sort, what do I need to sort out? What do I need to figure out? And it doesn't take it away from this tag. It just helps me see these items next to one another. So now I can think about here 3 major assignments. This is due February 7th, this draft. So I'm going to put that in the last week. This test is also due, so I'm going to put it there, and the peer review response is also due that week. So this is a great visual tool to figure out what I need to work on when, as opposed to problem set 1, I need to do this week. Quiz 1's the 23rd. And discussion post, now they've all appeared. So all of these I need to work on this week. That means I need to figure out what am I going to do the 23rd through the 29th. That is why I made this other in progress major assignments, which maybe we'll edit this, we'll add a different little emoji. So if I wanted to do planning in progress, I can create new elements too, just to help me keep organized. So if I have this quiz 1 on the 23rd, what are the different steps that I need to do for that? I could say that I need to look over assignment, look over key terms, review notes, do practice problems. I can enter these items in, and then I can kind of group them after the fact. I can decide today is the 16th. I'm going to look over this assignment, so we'll do that today. Great. I want to look over key terms. I click on it. I click due date. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I want to review notes. I want to do that Saturday. And then practice problems. I want to do that Sunday, but I also want that to repeat. So we do custom. We'll just do every one day by, let's say, by 23rd. Okay. So we can rearrange these by hand. We can kind of sort them by the order that we're going to work on them in. So this is a great way to kind of look at things one by one. And then once we've done something, if I've started looking over items, they're in progress. And then if I'm finished or they're in revision, I would put them here. I could say finished, but honestly, if something's finished, I'm probably going to get rid of it. I'm just going to check it off. So this is a great tool to use in conjunction to maybe figure out your plan more so than just keeping track of the assignments, and to keep track of the work that you're doing as you're going through it. And it's something that's really unique about this tool of TickTick. We also have a unique way to look at your assignments on TickTick that sets it apart, called the Eisenhower Matrix. Eisenhower Matrix is not a tool unique to this website, but this is a really easy way to use it. Basically, this is a way to figure out what is important and what you should be working on now. It involves grouping tasks into 4 categories: urgent and important, urgent and unimportant, not urgent and important, and not urgent and unimportant. And the idea is that you're supposed to do the tasks that are urgent and important. You don't want to get behind on not urgent and important, but you want to avoid doing tasks that are not urgent and not important. What's so interesting about TickTick is it automatically will populate everything here in the bottom right-hand quadrant, quadrant 4, as not urgent and unimportant. And then you can drag things based on where you think it belongs. As you know, as a Georgetown student, everything in academia is considered urgent and important. So you need to assess what is your qualification for important versus unimportant. Great question, by the way. There's a question of how can you see the Eisenhower matrix? So what I have is on my left-hand menu bar, there is these 4 different categories. We have task, that's the blue check mark. Next, we have these 4 leaves, the Eisenhower Matrix. That's what I've clicked on here. Then we have a circle, Pomodoro. We'll be going over that too. And then we have the habit tracker. Now, so we'll be going over these other features. It's possible that when you made your account that you did not add it, but you should be able to add that, I believe, by going to settings. So if we go to features, under settings next to your profile, you can turn each of these on and off. I don't have calendar turned on because it's a premium feature, and I think it's one of the best features, which is why they have it as premium. But if you wanted to turn something off or on, if I wanted to turn off Pomodoro, I could click and it would be gone. So you should be able to add that at any time. So what we can do is drag any of these items to help sort them based on how we want to process information. So again, this is a great tool just for figuring out what you want to do when. For prepare econ discussion questions, that's something that I don't have a written component for. So I personally am processing it as unimportant. However, it is due today. So that is going to urgent and unimportant. I'm also going to put that as my reading. Look over key terms. This is for studying for something, for a quiz that's next week. That is important. I need to study. I'm getting a serious grade on that for this quiz, but it's not urgent. So I'm going to put this in not urgent and important. And then I would probably say my first major item is problem set 1 is due on Tuesday, which is pretty soon. So that's urgent and important. This is, again, to help you kind of prioritize maybe what's due in the next day. If you feel overwhelmed, this can be a really helpful tool just to get organized and sort things out. We also have over here on the side another item that you can toggle on and off, the habit tracker. This is a great tool for if you want to try to do something every day or occasionally. You can add it to this list, and it can be separate from your assignments or it can be a part of your assignment. I have here the very straightforward update assignments on TickTick and check TickTick. This is a great way just to kind of hold yourself accountable. So I did this, great, did it, checking it off, and I have this as repeating every day. You can also have tasks repeat throughout the day. So I have drink glass of water. That's something I want to do 3 times a day. So when I click on it each time, let's say I've had 2 glasses of water, it will fill up. But we can just add this by creating our habit up at the top. You don't have to do daily. You can do weekly or interval every 2 days. Or we can just do occasional. So let's say I wanted to do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Achieve it all means you are just doing one item and clicking it once. Reach a certain amount means 1 per day, 2 per day. So I'm going to do an achieve it all. And I'm just going to call this read problem of God notes. So I didn't do it today, but if I did it Wednesday, great, awesome. So that would mean I would have a streak. So if you go back to your task tab and you look at the next 7 days, I have this sorted by day. We have a little caret here for habits that I had hidden because I can find it a little overwhelming to have everything. Once I've completed it, it will go away. So, and it appears down at the bottom in my completed. We can also hide everything that's not today, but I think it's interesting that our habits can appear here and they'll appear daily. So, or we can hide it, or you don't even need to have it at all. So we have one more feature that is available on the free, which is the Pomodoro. This is a little focus timer, which can be great for sitting down and studying. And you can kind of add which tasks you're focusing on as well, which is pretty interesting. And with this, you can set your task and you can choose tasks from your list. So if I want to read chapter 3, and I'm working on it today, you can kind of edit the time here. You can provide more details, or you can just come on and do start, and it's going to record that you did your study timer. The way the Pomodoro method works, if you haven't used this before, is basically you study for 25 minutes and set a timer, and then when that's done, you take a 5-minute break. So just another great tool to help you stay focused. So those are the basic features of TickTick and how they can be used to help you stay organized. If you have any other questions, feel free to add them to the chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today and good luck getting organized for the new semester. So you can add pre-existing tasks for Pomodoro. Great question. When you click focus and we have this option to add task, excuse me, what you can actually do is choose here from the calendar, when do you want to look, what tasks do you want to look at? Either the date, or you can take a look at the class. So if I want to go to major assignments, it will show all of the major assignments that are available. So if I want to say problem set 1 due, I can add it here and we'll say, okay, there you go. And we can set my start time. That's not quite accurate. Maybe I want to end it at 25 minutes. So that would be 1 Pomodoro. If I do 2 Pomodoros or 3, it'll update the end time. So that's why this is kind of an interesting tool. So right now it's 4:30. That means you can also kind of schedule it. So if I update the start time, it will update the end time. So it kind of helps you plan what you're working on. So if I do okay, it's going to think about it. And then I will have my focus record. This you can also kind of let yourself know what you've done in the past versus what you're doing in the present. So that's why it will let you set something in the past. So if we did 2, it'll say, congrats, you did that, and it will let you save the progress that you did. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, and good luck getting ready for the new semester. Happy studying.